You simply can't have this many worlds without some of them getting unfairly neglected. There are people out here committing absolute labors of love into this game without receiving half the recognition they deserve. So today, I'm taking justice into my own hands and doing what I can to fix that. Over the years, my curiosity has taken me all the way down into the deepest, strangest crevices of the VRChat world browser. And at this point, it'd be a shame not to share my discoveries. So get in here and I'll show you 5 of them. First up, Bi0me Conservatory by A Stack of Paper. This world looks really nice, and I do want to gush about the aesthetic, but there's an incredible gimmick going on here that I have to talk about first. Let me just pull up the description. Bi0me is a digital conservatory created to be a sort of community garden. Submit a plant drawing to contribute to the garden at bi0me.com. So sure enough, if you go to that website, you'll find these instructions on how to submit your own plant. This right here is the stuff, the juice. It's what makes VRChat what it is. Just someone with a cool idea they want to share. Not for profit, not out of any extrinsic motivation, but just because they came up with a fun thing they want to organize a community around. From what I can tell, the creator is still receiving plant submissions and implementing them into the world, so by all means, go at it. Not me though, I'm not submitting that. As for the world itself, I've got to say I like the design sensibilities. The spiral ramp and waterfall make for an interesting centerpiece. The saturated blues and greens of the water, the leaves, and the night sky pop together really well. I really like these domes. There are fish. I immediately enjoy spending time here. If you're paying attention, you might notice the enormous size of some of the leaves and flower pots. There's definitely something strange going on here in terms of scale. It's hard to tell if everything is huge or I'm just very small. But either way, I've always had a soft spot for these kinds of supersized levels in games. When I'd play with Lego as a kid, I'd wish so badly that I could shrink myself down to minifigure size to explore my creations as though they were real. And once you start thinking that way, you begin to realize that there are whole miniature worlds in your everyday surroundings that you don't get to experience because you're the wrong size. So yeah, it's fun to hang out with plants at this height. Great world, moving on. In 2022, Nakagin Capsule Tower, long-standing architectural marvel of the city of Tokyo, was demolished, bringing its 5-decade life of noble service to a tragic close. But then this mad lad, Curtis VL, went and made the whole thing in VRChat. Now it's preserved for all of time and you can visit it whenever you want. That's crazy! Down here at the ground floor, there's a little museum with some of the reference photos used to make this place, along with various trivia about the building. Interesting, if you're into that kind of thing. If you step outside and have a look around, you'll notice that the entire surrounding area has been made with imported photogrammetry, which is a nice touch for accuracy, if a bit low res. Through the main entrance to the tower, the first thing you'll see is a reception desk, and on that desk is a key. This key is actually my favorite feature of the whole map. Every time you load in, the room code on the tag will refer you to a different one of the 150 capsules in the capsule tower. Every capsule but the one on the tag is inaccessible to you, and I don't know, I kinda like this. It adds a strange realism to your visit. There's not a lot of reason to come back over and over again to explore all 150 capsules. Or maybe there is, I don't know, I haven't done a thorough Easter egg sweep or anything. But the different capsules will give you a different view of the surrounding area depending on which side of the building you're on. See, if I look out here, there's an animated freeway. Nice touch. Also, climbing up and down the tower is a lot more fun than it deserves to be. It says a lot about my awful sense of direction that I can get lost on the way to my room when it's just one long spiral staircase straight up and down to get there. But in my defense, there's all these side passages and outdoor sections that keep getting me distracted, and it gives me an appreciation for what an incredible structure this place was. Also, I like this message here from Curtis, warning me that there weren't any reference photos available for the first floor, and so the only solution was to freestyle a layout. That's transparency right there. I can respect that. Warning to anyone with photosensitive epilepsy or similar conditions, this one is a lot. There's strobing, there's flashing, there's alternating bright colors. If you don't think you should be looking at that, then I encourage you to skip ahead on the timeline. This is Aquarium Thoughts by Magic Walk. It's hard to pick just one of this creator's worlds to showcase. The whole body of work is really something. Normalium is probably the most dense and interesting one, and Lecture of It is very funny to me. It really speaks to my sense of humor. Just have a look at this.
Or perhaps we wait this and melt into imagination. Forget the inquiry. Tackle the mind and time. What is this one looking for with its lingual telescopes? They ask. Shuffle violence many of time. Tell them that.
But for whatever reason, I resonate with Aquarium Thoughts the most. The whole world is wrapped in this undulating tunnel of stripes that feels like a missing page out of Oh the Places You'll Go. Once you find your bearings, you can travel up the central tower by elevator, and a dead-eyed mannequin woman will kindly instruct you in the mysteries of creation. I can see why you might be tempted to dismiss this kind of experimental space as a meaningless shitpost that's not worth the time of day, but to say such things would be to misunderstand and disrespect a carefully constructed aesthetic. Nothing is out of place in these worlds. While the symbology might be a bit mysterious, it's not random, and just like any other work of art, it'll eventually start to mean something to you if you stare at it for long enough. Of course, with or without a deeper meaning, these worlds are a pleasure to explore by simple virtue of being absolutely fascinating to look at. That counts for a lot in VR, and it's not something to take for granted. In fact, I think this kind of thing is the core appeal of VRChat, to have strange encounters with strange people while visiting even stranger places. Armored Udon by Bi0me. I don't know who was going to tell me about this one. It's frankly strange that I had to find it randomly through the world browser and not by recommendation. Armored Udon is a multiplayer mecha dogfighting game. When you start the game, you get shot out of this acceleration ramp with your own personal mexoskeleton. Basic movement is controlled by tilting your controllers, right controller to turn and left controller to swerve in all directions. You tap or hold down on the right control stick to do a vertical boost for height, and down on the left control stick to boost in whichever direction you're currently swerving as an evasive move. And once you've got this all figured out, the movement feels fantastic. I'll acknowledge that this world isn't the only one of its kind. You have a few options if you're looking for flight experiences in VRChat, but there is something unique about the way these mecha control that's worth experiencing in its own right. This is the VR version of the Armored Core Zippy Boost Suit experience. It doesn't feel like a plane or a jetpack or a glider, it's unmistakably a mecha. No doubt there was a lot of intense Udon programming that went into designing and refining these controls. Then there's the combat itself, which is pretty simple. You have a standard attack and a missile launcher, neither of which you get to aim yourself, it's all handled through lock-on. There's an assembly console over here where you can make changes to your mecha's loadout. You can change gun types, missile capacity, armor, thrusters, and whatever FCS is. And of course all of these changes will be reflected cosmetically on your mech. I haven't actually played the multiplayer, so it's hard to say how these mechanics come together in practice. I'm also unlikely to try the multiplayer, because as it turns out, it's very difficult to trick my weak-stomached friends into piloting these nausea machines. If you have a squad of strong VR-legged people though, maybe give it a go, then come back to the comments section and tell me what it's like. Sunroom by Dorwoofer. I've left this one for last, not because it's the best or worst pick in this list, but because it's the hardest sell. And I understand it's not immediately all that impressive. What could be so interesting about a featureless grassy courtyard? Well, you've made it this far through the video, which means you have a certain amount of patience for my taste in VRChat worlds. So I'm hoping I can persuade you to see what I see. For starters, it is a little more than just a grassy courtyard. Here we have the standard popular features, a mirror, of course, and if you look over here, there's that 3D drawing prefab you see in a lot of worlds. Something that normally bothers me about mirrors and 3D pencils is that they often tend to get slapped into a world willy-nilly without much thought given to properly integrating them into the environment. This really is just a pet peeve, and I understand is not something everybody cares about, but it breaks my heart a little bit to see an otherwise beautiful world that's just been cluttered to the nines with all these ill-fitting features and UI elements. But Sunroom does not have such problems. Watch this. The wall folds away to reveal a secret compartment that houses the pencil shelf. If you'd rather keep things simple, leave those pencils out of sight and out of mind, the choice is yours. But if you want to whip them out for any reason, here they are, tastefully presented. And if I press this mirror button, a panel on the wall slides away to reveal the mirror. Pay careful attention to the way these UI elements slide across the surface. That's classic. But even without these kinds of fancy features, this place is still a premium quality grassy courtyard. Just look at this grass. It's thick and fluffy, with a gentle breeze blowing through it. You can practically feel the softness just by looking at it. If you choose to lie down, you'll be looking up at these impressively detailed animated clouds. I don't recognize this shader, or whatever it is that's being used to achieve this effect, but it's bloody good, and it just makes a tremendous amount of sense as a feature. Of course you'd want the clouds to be interesting if you were planning on staring up at them while laying in the grass, which is pretty obviously this world's main purpose. And for the VRChat grass-lazing connoisseur who tires of blue skies and gentle clouds, you can pull on this slider to simulate different times of day, and press this toggle to activate rain clouds. This world knows exactly what it wants to be. It's a deceptively simple place with a simple purpose, but it's clear that a lot of thought and care has gone into making sure that this place fulfills that purpose as perfectly as it possibly can. Okay, those were the 5 worlds I wanted to show you today. There's so much underappreciated content like this on VRChat that I could easily stretch this video into a series. So if that's something you want to see, then press all the engagement buttons to let me know. You could also press this engagement button in particular if you're enjoying the channel. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.